Hello, and welcome to the fourth installment of the Solar Warfare Guides. This part is all about how to set up a strong economy. I said in guide number 3 that the key to winning was having a strong economy for yourself while ruining your opponent's economy. Well, in order to get a strong economy, you need to build it at the very beginning of the game. So, when you first start, the program will guide you through a process called empire creation. And during this point, what you should be doing is you should be trying to make your economy as great as possible. You're going to get 21 buildings to disperse among several planets. Now, in this map, you have a lot more planets than you'll have in the final map, but the underlying principles will be the same, except for the fact that trade centers will be a little more important in the final version. So when you're making your economy, you first want to start by selecting a couple planets which are close together and trying to make the most efficient trade route you can to connect them, right? The fewest trade blocks to get them all connected. So I can connect Festex to Serral with 2, Serral to Vermont with 2, I can connect Serral to Selene with 2, and Selene to Jersey with 2, and Jersey down to June with 2. So now for just 10 blocks, I've connected 6 planets, which is pretty good. But I need an additional planet, and I don't have the trade blocks to get there. Now, fortunately, trade centers are among the buildings you can build. So the very first thing I'm going to build is a trade center at Festex, and now I can finish up my trade route, and I'll put my final trade block towards Trebon, right? And you'll notice that by placing it here, I now can spend only 3 trade blocks to connect Festex to both Sidon and Trebon. So now more buildings. When you are trying to make an economy, what you should do is you should think about what you want your economy to do. You should say, I want to produce an eagle every turn. Or you should say, I want to produce a cruiser every turn and another economic building every 2 turns, or something like that. And you should choose your buildings very, very specifically in order to achieve this goal. Later in the game, when you're expanding your economy, you'll play the same way. The planets you expand to and the buildings you build there will be entirely based on what you're trying to do. So what I've decided to do in this demo is I want an economy which builds 1 raider and 1 missile every single turn. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to need is a space station, and I'm also going to need a missile factory. So I'll put a space station at Phaedrex and a missile factory at June. Now, a very nifty trick to do as you're putting resource buildings is you never want to have 2 of the same type of resource on the same planet, right? It's something you can do on occasion if you have to, but it's bad policy generally, right? If I have 3 fuel refineries in my entire empire, I do not want to put them all on Vermont, because if they're all on Vermont, then a single enemy missile will wipe out all of my fuel production, and I believe that you need at least 1 of every resource in order to do stuff, right? You need at least 1 fuel to do anything. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread my resources out. Now, I just have the prices of everything memorized, but other people don't. So the 4th tab here will contain a catalog. But because I have everything memorized, I know that I'm going to want 4 fuel. Raiders cost 2 fuel, and missiles cost 2 fuel. As a matter of fact, you're almost always going to want 4 fuel, because fuel, well, it's never used to a ridiculous amount in anything. 2 of it is used in everything. So you want 4 fuel, not 3, not 2, 4 fuel. So I'm going to choose Phaedrex, Vermont, June can't build fuel, Joyzy, and Serral for my fuel. Now, the next rare when choosing this, you want to start with the rarest materials, the ones which you're going to need the most buildings from. It just makes it easier to figure out where to place your buildings. So, next thing I want is I want gold. Actually, I have pretty good gold production. So I'm going to do silicon instead. Now I know that I want 4 silicon, so I'm going to put 1 at Phaedrex, 1 silicon at Phaedrex. I'm going to put 1 at Serral. I'm going to put 1 at Jersey. And I'm going to put 1 at June. This will allow me to produce the 4 silicon are needed for a raider and a missile, and the 4 fuel are needed for a raider and the missile. Next thing I want to look at is titanium. And I'm going to want 3 of that, 2 for the raider, 1 for the cruiser. So titanium, actually I want to look at gold first, because I've got titanium nearly everywhere. I only need 2 gold, so I'm going to put 1 at Selene, and I'm going to put 1 at Festex. Now I can go on to titanium, of which I'll need 3. So I'll put 1 on Vermont. I'll put, say, 1 on Festex. I'll put 1 on Jersey. So now you'll notice that I still have 5 planets left. I have achieved my goal, but I have 5 buildings left. So, what do I want to do with those buildings? Well, in the smaller maps which we'll be playing, you'd probably want to put at least 1 other trade center, right? Because without the extra planets, you're going to need trade routes. But fortunately, I don't need to do that here. So what I need to ask myself is, what secondary goals do I want my economy to have? What else do I want it to be doing if it's not fulfilling my main goal? Well, one thing I could have it do is I could even have it try and produce 2 missiles per turn, so 3 objects total. And I could do that, but I would need to be permanently buffing my building. I would need to be permanently buffing my missile factory, and it really wouldn't be that useful, because I wouldn't be using them that quickly. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those remaining 5 buildings towards making my economy stronger and more versatile, right? Now gold, while it's not, gold's primary use is to boost your economy, to build more buildings, and I've only got 2 of it. So I'm definitely going to want more gold. So I'll build 1 right here, and 1 on Vermont. Now, the reason you want 4 gold is because gold is used to build trade centers, and you need 4 gold to build a trade center. So, with this, I can build a trade center in 1 turn if I need to. And speaking of trade centers, do I want another one? I don't know. I don't know if I want another one. I think I'm not going to do another trade center, but they're still really, really valuable. So what do I want at this point? I've got 4 silicon, 4 fuel, 4 gold, and 3 titanium. Well, obviously I'm going to want an additional titanium, because that'll give me the option of building eagles in a single turn if it's necessary. Eagles take 4 titanium. And as a matter of fact, I'll probably want yet another titanium on June. The reason being that ships cost a lot of titanium, especially the bigger ones. And a great economic point I like to reach for is the point where you can build a cruiser and a raider every single turn. And that requires 5 titanium. So I'm going to get a head start on that. And then finally, I think I am going to build another trade center on Selene. And the reason is because trade centers are just a useful thing to have around. And of course, now I get 2 additional blocks, which I'll use to get to Trebon and to Sidon. So now I get to place my ships. And this is a little bit less important because they can move, but it'll still help if there's a quick invasion. So what I want to do is I want to focus on defending my borders with the slower ships, right? So I'm going to want a eagle up here at Selene to defend this front. Oh, my mistake. It's placing trade ships. Sorry. So where am I going to want to expand to? Well, I'm going to want to expand inward towards Ripon. So I'm going to put one at Phaedrex, and I'll probably want to expand more over here. So I'll put one right here next to that. Now my raiders. I'm going to want a raider available to go in both directions quickly. So I'll place one at Selene, and I'll place one over here. Now my cruisers I'm going to want to be available to go in both directions, so I'll probably put these near Trebon, because from that way they can go both towards Heather or towards Ben if it's necessary. So I'll put both of them in the same the same place. And then my eagles, because they're the slowest, I'll put in on each border in case they're needed. Now my general doesn't really matter where I place him because he can teleport around trade routes. But I'll start with him at Festex, just cause. So now I've got my empire. And the tricks here are going to expand later in the game, because what you want to be doing as you expand your economy is you want to be focusing on these same specific goals. You want to say, okay, I want to be producing 3 ships per turn. And that's what's really going to make you a powerhouse. That's what's going to make you win. You also want to make sure that your ships can defend this economy, and you're going to want your space station placement to be good, right? Because if you can produce a ship right where an attack is happening, whether you're attacking or you're being attacked, it'll be really, really helpful compared to reinforcements being produced and then you having to wait 2 or 3 turns for them to arrive. But a lot of this is going to change with the new board. The general ideas and goals will be the same, but the specifics will be different. So, good luck!